So, welcome to the class. My name is Benjamin Oche. It's nice to have you guys here, and I just want to show you how we can make great designs with Figma and how we can utilize every uh, opportunity that Figma brings to designers. People think Figma is just for you UI UX designers, but it's more than that. Figma is for everybody who is a designer. You just don't know how to use it very well. So let me not waste your time. All right. So now when you open Figma, this is how the interface looks like. This is how the interface looks like, and it's a very uh, simple and minimal interface because Figma learns the goal of simplicity. They want to attract a whole lot of people so that they can, you know, understand the simple terms of using design to design. So that is what I feel they're trying to achieve. Figma is very easy to understand because they simplified everything on the interface. They simplified almost everything from the where the tools are to the properties area to the layer side. Everything is very simple. Now, this is how your Figma will look like when you open it from default. I'm using a dark mode theme from my own. That's why it's looking like very dark. Because you can switch to light or dark mode if you feel like you want to work with dark mode. So now, but when I want to work, I don't like this background. I don't use this dark plain background. What I do is I like to change. So this is where you can change the background. And before I start designing, I just want to brief explain what Figma is, how the interface and the tools. Now, if you check, I have multiple tabs open. It's because there are different Figma files that I was working on before I started this live session. These are our social media uh, designs that we do. Everything we do on our social media is used with Figma to design them. All our flyers are designed with Figma because it's faster, it's easier. As you can see, there are layer. These are where our layers are and everything. So let me come back to our own. Now here you have your windows, like different tabs you are opening. So these are different works I've worked on. So these are all of them. Then here we have our tools panel. This is the comment to when you're working with different people and you want to drop a comment. This is the comment tool. This is the hand. And move around. This is where you add your component. I'll talk about component later. After the component section, there are plugins, there are widgets, and every stuff that you can use to spice up your design. So here we have the text tool where you can type your text. Here we have the pen tool and the pencil tool. They're different. So here we have our shapes: rectangle, line, arrow, ellipse, polygon, star. And if you want to also place an image, if you want to also place an image, this is where you come to. So I mistakenly drew the pen tool. Sorry, let me delete. Now here we have frame, section, and slice. The section and slice, to be honest, I don't use them. I only use frame. And I'm going to talk about frame as we progress. Then finally, we have our move tool and our scale tool. They are different tools for different purposes, even though they might almost do the same thing, but they are different. Then finally, we have our menu bar here. Everything about Figma. You want to export, edit, view, or text, and everything. You can explore that yourself. Now, this section is where all our layers and assets are. So if I create a layer, everything will appear here. Assets too, everything will appear here. Then this is you see page one here. It means this whole canvas, this whole blank page. If you want to open multiple pages, you can do that with this. Then finally here is where you design everything you are opening on Figma, all the components, all the elements you are working with. That is where you design it on. Everything you see on this side is where you design and style some stuff. In web design we call it our CSS panel, because everything that happens here is to style. We add style, shadows, colors, gradients, change the properties of the particular element and so on. So that is what we do here. And then here prototype, we're not going to prototype of course. And then if you want to inspect, so like I said, CSS code and the rest. So I'm going to stick to design. So first things first is that I don't like this background. I'm going to change it. So if you want to change this background, just click here and type your color code. So I'm working with EF. So automatically it gives us this almost white color. It's not white, but it's almost white. Now this is what your frame does. This tool here, frame. Frame is like your canvas in Photoshop. When you open a particular Photoshop file and you want to work on a specific project size, that is what your frame is all about. So to create a frame, when you press F or you click on this icon here, it will give you different types. There's phone, there's tablet, there's desktop. Let's not forget that Figma primarily used to be for UI UX. So all these size templates will be here. There's presentation, there's Apple Watch, there's paper, there's social media, and you can also get ideas from the Figma community or the ones you've archived. Now, so I'm going to stick to social media. I'm going to pick Instagram post. Immediately you click on it, automatically it creates this frame, this old frame. You can see it. Let me darken my background a little bit so you can see. So automatically it creates this box of frame and it gives it a name. If you put a frame, it means that you can add multiple elements and then it will not come outside of the frame. And one of the key things you can do is that you can also put a frame inside the frame. So let's make a simple design. I'm going to write out the content. So I've typed out my stuff. Now let me explain the difference between move to and scale to. Move to automatically is your default moving tool. Scale to helps you make things bigger or smaller. Well, you might be asking like, why can't move to do that? You see, if I try to make this text very big, it's just creating spaces inside, as you can see. But if I switch to scale, the shortcut for scale to is K. To change the icon and I can zoom out, then make it big. You see, there's a difference. So I'm bringing it into our frame and I'm scaling big. That's the difference between move to and scale to. Now let me get some resources I can use to design. It's already in PNG, of course. I want to save time in the video. I'm already working with a PNG image. So this is it. So this is a barbecue. I'm going to change the copy of this. So let's bring this type text outside. Now the first thing we want to work on is our background. So now we are going to create a background for this. So we have an idea. I have an idea of how we can make this design look very nice. Now I can go with black, a black background. To add a background color to this frame, what you do is just simply click on the frame. Make sure you are on move to, not scale to, so that your properties will be visible. If you are on what's it called, scale to, your properties will only be limited to the scale. If you press V, sorry, if you press V, your move to, everything will be visible here. So now I'm going to click on this, change the fill here to a gradient black. And I go to solid, go to linear, click on this and change it to a slightly darker color and increase this. So I can do like this. So a shade of gray. Now, after doing that, I'll bring in another background that helps me like communicate what I want to design. So I'm going to find a pattern for a particular background. So the background doesn't look very dry. So let's say I'm working with let's use this. So I'm using this African texture background. So I'm going to align it to the center by clicking this icon here. Then press K on your keyboard and hold out to increase it to scale it inside of the stuff, inside of the frame. Now reduce the fill to 20% or let's say 5%. Now go to image and then reduce the saturation to 0 so that it blends with the background as black. Then let's bring this barbecue inside. Now let's press K to reduce the barbecue pot size. Put it in the middle like this. Then what we do next is to add a little bit of fire at the back of the barbecue pot. So the barbecue looks like it's burning or it's cooking. So I have the background or the resource here. So I'm going to go to fire and put a fire at the background of the barbecue. So I have this fire image here. I have this fire image here already. So zoom out, hold control with your scroll wheel on your mouse. Then press K to scale. There's a difference between K and V. V is for moving things, K is for scaling down. So scale down, then bring it to the middle like this. Now see the layer here. This is the barbecue pot and this is the fire. So drag the fire underneath the barbecue. Maybe we should increase it a little bit like this. Then there's a similar effect that Figma has that Photoshop too has. It's called blend modes. So if you click on this layer here that shows pass through, you can switch between blend modes. It's the same effect that Photoshop gives is that Figma too gives. So click on screen, automatically the background of the fire will disappear because that's what screen does. Then we need a very light beam or a glow effect that makes the fire look real. We can simply create that using a circle. So I'm going to circle or you press O on your keyboard. Hold shift and click and drag like this. Now make sure your circle is here. Press I to select the color of the reflection you want to create. So I'm going to click on this fire here. Then go to effects here and change it to layer blur. When you go to layer blur, you see that it blurs it a little bit, but it's not evident. So you click on this sun icon here. I'm going to change the blur to 200 and it will look like this. So I'm going to bring it like this and then bring it underneath the barbecue and the fire. So what I now do is the blur still looks very obvious. Let's increase the quality to 300. Now after doing that, change the blend mode to color dodge so that it looks very real. Then you can now reduce the opacity of the color dodge so it doesn't look so much. So I'm setting it to 30% or let's say 40%. Let's cancel this. Now the fire is looking a little bit real. So the next thing to do is let's add some effects. So I have some more resources that I can work with. Let me bring them. Some fire sparkles. So I'm going to bring some more fire background. So with this fire background, I can do some other things with it. So now, as it is like this, press K, scale down, hold out, and scale down. You can rotate the layer by going to the edge of the layer, rotate it like this, and then bring it down like this. So what you do next is to press V and switch your layer blend mode to screen this time. So screen works, and then let's put it at the bottom like this. So it looks real as we are doing it like this. So let's bring the logo of the brand, which I did with text. So I'm going to change the text color. To change the text color, come to your properties here. See your fill here. Change the fill color to white. And then cancel. Now let's write our caption, spicy and hot. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make it individually instead of me putting them together. So I'm first going to write spicy. Now when you want to do some designs like this, some people don't pay attention to the font that they are using. When you want to do something spicy, you don't use a what's it called? A sans serif font. You don't use such kinds of fonts. You use a stylish font that can properly convey that message. So I'm going to use a font that I have. It's called Back to Black Demo. So I'm going to reduce the letter spacing to 0. So I'll press K to increase the size of my text. So this logo, I'm going to take it up to this point here, and then press K to reduce the size of the logo. Then let's add this. Let's make the logo evident. So what I'm going to do right now is to add a rectangle like this. Then I'll change the rectangle to red. So this kind of red, and then bring the rectangle underneath the logo. So let me name it rect, and then hold Control on your keyboard, press the logo text and press Ctrl G to group it. So name it logo. Zoom out. So we have the logo here. So now, as I was saying, if you want to do something like this, you use a stylish font for it. A stylish font that will help you convey the message very well. So spicy, and then I'm going to duplicate the spicy word. I'm going to name it hot. So spicy and hot together like this. Hold shift and click on spicy, press K, reduce the size like this so that we can have some room. So I'm going to increase the spicy a little bit, then the hot to this point like this. So now we have this. So let's style this spicy font. Let me remove the hot font away first. So let's start with the spicy. So increase the size of the spicy. Zoom in. Let me zoom in very well so you can see what I'm doing. So switch to move to by pressing V. Then go down, go to your fill, and let's add a gradient to this text. So I'm going to pick this color here, and then click on this solid and change it to linear. Then click on this second color here. By default, the second color is always set to 0 opacity. So increase the opacity to 100. So let's switch the color to red like this. So now we have it like this. So press K to make it big a little bit. Then press Ctrl D to duplicate. Click on the one beneath the duplicated version. Use your move tool to bring it down. So let's change the gradient style of this second one. So I'm going to reverse the gradient to red and to orange. So I'm going to try to mimic a 3D effect. So I'm mimicking a 3D effect by duplicating the text layer. So now it looks like a 3D effect. Then click on the top version of the spicy word, scroll down and go to effects. By default, it already has drop shadow. So click on the drop shadow. Now the X and Y value means something. X means you want to move it to the direction of horizontal, while Y is vertical. So I'm going to move it horizontally to the next side. So 9% and Y values 10%. The blur is still at 4 and the speed is still remaining. The opacity of the shadow is 25%, so I'm leaving it that way. Then cancel. So now, one more thing you are going to do next is to highlight the spicy word and press Ctrl G to group them. So name it spicy. Then finally for the hot, I'm going to use a very light orange. So I'm going to put it here like this. Or I also feel we should leave it in this white because the white is also fine. But let's try the orange first or the yellow. So I'm picking this color from the fire or from this fruit here. So I think this works. This works. Let's do a little bit yellowish. Alright. So now we're going to work with the gradient. With the gradient, I'm going to click on this one that is on zero opacity, increase the opacity to 100 back, and then select a yellow color, a very light yellow color. So I'm going to leave this one like this. This one will not be 3D, it's just going to be like this. So I'm going to click on the hot and then add an effect of shadow, drop shadow. So this time the X value is going to go more to 18, the Y is 4, and I'm going to increase the blur to about 15%. I'm increasing the opacity to, let's say, 38%. So cancel. Then finally, let's add the spicy and hot, so because we have N here. So I'm going to work with this same N like this. Let me highlight it. So I'm going to click on it and I'm changing the text color to white, and I'm using the same font I used for the rest, back to black. So just bring it like this. So automatically this looks amazing. So let's put it here like this. So now there's one more thing I also want to add to this background here because it looks too grayish. There's no dark contrast in it. To create a gradient contrast of black, click on your rectangle and then draw a box like this. Change this fill to black and then change the color to linear. Automatically to give you a black shape gradient. So cancel it, right click and flip vertical. Then increase the gradient to cover the edges of the frame. Bring it down like this and then increase the gradient to something like this. Then bring it under the barbecue image and the globe. So we have this. So big B's spicy and hot barbecue. Let's try barbecue. It's not written barbecue. So let's take all the text up, spicy and hot. Move it up by using your move tool. So let's write the barbecue. So the barbecue font is going to be a different font. Barbecue. B. If I cannot spell it, please correct me. So I'm going to use a different font. Let's use Gotham. So I'm going to reduce the size. So I'm bring it here like this. Zoom out. So press K to scale it down. I think I'll use a very uh, tall font. So let me switch to a tall font. Oswald. Yes. Or League. Yeah, something like this. So let me increase the size. So they all align together in the same straight line. So I don't know if I'm getting the spelling of barbecue correct, but please take it like that. So yeah, spicy and hot barbecue, big bees. Let's reduce the logo a little bit because the logo is too big. Let's bring it down like this. So let's put their call to action, which is call now. So I'm going to create a frame separately from this one. So I'm coming outside here. I'm going to create a frame like this. Then zoom in. So I'm going to change this frame color to red, to the same red as the logo. I'm going to put the number plus 234 123 123 124 123. So I'm going to change the text color to white. Bring it inside the frame here. Press K to make it bigger. I'm going to change the letter spacing to something like this. And then press N. I'm using the font that has the social media icon. So I'm not using the social media icon. The name of the font is Type Econ. So it automatically gives me the call button. So I can reduce the size of the frame like this. Now I'm going to name this frame call. So see what I'll do now. I'm going to add radius to the frame so that the edges of the frame can like have some curve. So to do that, this is where you add them corner radius. So I'm going to set it to like 30%. So it's like this. Then I bring this frame inside of this particular one. And then zoom in. Press K to scale it down. I bring it here like this. Press K, scale it down. Let's put it here. I think here works. Or I'm thinking we should change the background of this frame to green because red is too much. So let's involve another color to a very subtle green. So I'm going to put it on gradient and I'm going to change it to a very lighter version of green. The gradient is going to be like this. Cancel. Okay. So basically this is how I made this design with Figma. It's not hard. Figma is very easy if you know how to use it. And it's very simple. If you want to export your designs on Figma, click on the frame. Click on the frame. Let's name the frame spicy and hot first. Spicy and hot flyer. So when you click on the frame, close the frame, scroll down, you see export here. Click on export and click on different formats you want to export it. There's PNG, there's JPEG, there's SVG, there's PDF. So I'm going to export as JPEG and then export. I can pick my location and export to that particular place. Let's go to creative community, save. I'm using a free version of Figma. I've not paid for the premium version. So I'm going to name this one as a class. Then I click on share. When I click on share to tell me to add editor, I need to put the draft into a project. I cannot move it because I've not paid. So I just copy the link. When you go to the link, what you do is you duplicate the copy of the project. Let me explain. Let me send you the link first. Now, if you want to get access to these designs, let me cancel this and let me go home screen. So you see everything. Now, if you want to duplicate this file, this is what you do. This is the file we just worked on. If you right click, you see duplicate here. So when I give you the link, you duplicate it and save it to yourself so you can edit. That is what you should do first. So this is how you make designs with Figma. If you enjoyed the class, please comment in the group. Thank you so much for joining the class. I really appreciate you. Have a nice and a wonderful weekend.